Today we will be continuing with the DDBMS architecture. In the last lecture already we have seen. I will add some more to it because in the last lecture we have seen the DDBMS architecture is like what I can say a client server architecture. It is one type. This is only one type of the client server architecture. There are two types of the DDBMS architectures are there that I will speak about. The first type of architecture is called as the DDBMS. DDBMS architecture is of two types. The first type is called as client server architecture, client and server architecture, and the second is called as the peer-to-peer architecture, peer-to-peer architecture. These are the two types of DDBMS architecture are there. So we have seen an overview of this client and server architecture in the last lecture, right? I will talk more detail about this client server architecture because it is again classified into two types. First one is nothing but a single client, I can say multiple client and single server, and the another category is multiple client and multiple servers. These are the two types: multiple client single server and multiple client single server and multiple client multiple server. These are the two types of the client server architecture of DDBMS architecture. So we have seen, just an overview we have seen what do you mean by client server architecture. Now I will talk about what do you mean by the multiple client and single server architecture, and what do you mean by the multiple client and multiple server architecture. Okay, that we'll talk about. So what do you mean by this multiple client and single server? It is our conventional way, the conventional architecture. When we are having multiple clients, these are nothing but my clients, and these are all connected to one server. This is nothing but multiple clients and single server. These are nothing but my client, and this is nothing but my server. So you can see I am having only one server. That's why multiple client and single server. The another category is this, is nothing but multiple client and there are multiple servers, right? And they can communicate with any server. These are nothing but this architecture is called as multiple client and multiple server. Okay, so now what is the problem with this multiple client and single server architecture? Because this architecture, this multiple client and single architecture, in this case a single server maintain the database. You can see a single server, this particular server, a single server, this server is maintaining the database because it is having a single database. In this particular single database everything will be managed. Everything will be managed here. Everything will be managed, and whatever the clients are there, this client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4, they need to maintain or they need to do the data management. All the data management to be done on the client side. This is nothing but my client side. So all the data management is to be done on the client side, and on the server side, this server side is maintaining only the database. It is not, he is not maintaining, or this server side is not maintaining any kind of data management. So because of this, whenever a client is asking for any service or asking for any query, whenever this if I am saying that this is nothing but my client 1, he is asking for a query, he is asking for the query to execute on the server side. This particular client is also asking for the query. This particular server side is also asking for the query. This particular client is also asking for the query. Now you tell me, on the server side only one server is there, so out of these many query 1, query 2, query 3, query 4, which particular query will get executed by the server side, right? So in that case the server will execute the query one by one, right? Depending on any algorithm. it will execute the query, and rest of the queries are need to wait unless and until the first query will get executed. The second query will not get chance. Why? Because on the server side there is a heavy load, because you can see I am having 4 clients, so there are already 4 queries are pending, right? So unless and until the query will get one query will get executed, the second query will not get executed. Okay, my voice is audible, the screen is visible? Yes. Okay, so this is nothing but a single side and the multiple client and single side architecture. Now if I'll talk about the multiple client and multiple server architecture, in that case what is this, what is the scenario? You can see this is my client 1, client 2, client 3, client 4. These all are my clients. You can see, let me wipe out this. 1, 2 and 3, these are my servers and these are my clients, right? You can see there are multiple clients and multiple servers. So in that case it is an advanced, this particular architecture is an advanced form of client server architecture. But here I am having multiple servers, so because of that the server is maintaining the data management. The all these servers are doing a data management as well as query execution. So whenever this particular query is asking for the query, suppose, and this query is running on this particular database, so this particular database is efficient, or this particular server is efficient to execute this particular query. That's why the on the client side there will be a light load, because on the client side there will be a light load, as well as on the server side there will be a light load, because there is no problem in query execution. One more thing, in this particular architecture MCSS, that is nothing but multiple client and single server. In that case, if suppose this server fails, if suppose there is an error, or if suppose there is a crash, then this particular server, if suppose this particular server get failed, then what to do? Then the whole system will get failed, right? But here in this case, even though this particular server get fails, there are other servers who will be handling the executions of the queries, right? So in that case, this particular databases, whatever the databases these particular servers are having, this particular databases will be managing the data management. The data management will get managed, as well as the transparency will be there in the data access, right? As well as the transparency will be there in the data access. Okay, whatever I am trying to tell you, hope so you people are having a clear idea. The data management on the server side and the data access transparency, this all thing will get maintained, right? First one is data management and second one is data access transparency, that will get maintained. Okay, now the second category is there. The You can see when we have started this part, we have already talked about what do you mean by client server architecture, either the multiple client and single server, or multiple client and multiple server. Now I will talk about the peer to peer architecture. So what happens in peer to peer architecture? You can see in peer to peer architecture, let me come back to my PDF. In peer to peer architecture, we are having this scenario. You can see this diagram. In this diagram, I am having site A, I am having site B, and I am having site C. Any number of sites, all are sites here. Here there is no concept of, in this particular, in peer to peer architecture, in our peer to peer architecture, there is no term like client or server, right? Whatever, this is my site 1, this is my site 2, this is my site 3, this is my site 4. site 1, site 2, site 3, site 4, and all are connected to a network. This is the network, right? This is the peer-to-peer architecture. So in the same way, now in detail, if I am talking about, if I am saying this is my site A for better understanding, this is my site B, this is my site C, and this is my site D. Okay, site A, B, C, D. So let me resemble that. Here you can see my site A, site B, and site C is there, right? And they are having databases, individual databases to connect it to them. Okay, in this architecture, what happens? There is no server, there is no client, and there is no server concept is there in the peer-to-peer architecture. But internally, whenever the query is to be passed from one side to another, in that case, the site which is starting the query, or which is what I can say asking the query to evaluate, that particular site will be considered as a client side. For example, if I am saying this site A wants to execute a query, right? But that particular data on which the query is to be executed, that particular data or that particular database is not available with the site A, right? So what site A will do? The site A will send the request to site B, and it will send the request to site C, right? Whether whatever the data this particular site A is interested in, that particular data is present on site B or site C or both. या दोघांकडे तो डेटा अवेलेबल आहे का, that it will check. If the data is present, if the data is present, then that particular query will get evaluated, or part of that query will get evaluated on site B, and part of that particular site, part of that particular database, a part of that particular query will get evaluated on site C, right? Then the individual result will be sent to the site A. This particular subpart of the query will return the result, and subpart of the query will be returned by site B. And once the result I'll be getting here on the site A, that will get combined together, right? And it will get transformed into an equivalent format, and then it will return back to the user. Are you understanding what I am trying to tell you? Suppose I am saying, we'll do one thing, we'll elaborate one more time. If I am saying I am having, this is my site A, right? This is my site B, and this is my site C. These are the three sites. Now whatever the data which this particular query, suppose this is the query, this particular query is there, this query, this particular site A wants to evaluate, but the data which is required for this query, part of that data is in the site B, and part of this particular data is on the site C. So in that case, what will happen? This particular site A, this particular site A will ask or will give the query, part of the query to site B, part of the query will to the site C. This site B will evaluate that query in the database, and the individual result will be returned to site A. So this is the result. And likewise, the site C also will be returning the individual result. Whatever this result I got from both these sites, that result will get combined here on the site A, and will be presented to the user. So this is the actual scenario. Okay, but actually there are certain models are there, or there are certain components are there. Those components are, I am having a UI handler. Whenever a particular site becomes a client side, it will be having a UI handler, it will be having a semantic data handler, it will be having a global query optimizer. Why? Because whenever the part of the query will be submitted by the individual sites like site B and site C, they will be returning the result. So this global query optimizer will optimize that query and it will execute the global query. Okay, in the same way, on each site I will be having a local query processor, a local recovery manager, and a runtime support manager. Right, on each site I'll be having those many components. But whenever a particular site becomes a client, at that time I will be having a UI handler, a semantic data handler, a global query optimizer, and global execution monitor components in that particular site. Okay, now so whatever we have whatever just now we have discussed, the same has been written here. You can read it out when I will be sharing with you. Okay, now I am having the distributed data storage, the another topic. This is the this particular topic is very important. The distributed data storage. Now, what do you mean by distributed data storage? Now you can see. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll record a separate video because already it is of 16 minutes.